Okay, what's up, everybody? It's episode 10 of the TMF Picnic already. Today, I have my hero, Andrei Zinkovic, on the show. I'm butchering his last name again. He's the king of B2B leads. He has many, many years of experience. He's worked for huge media companies. He has his own agency, Get Lido. He has a really awesome Facebook group as well. I'm so happy to have him here, especially because Andre is super technical and very, very strong in the parts where I would say I'm a little bit weaker. So I'm extremely happy to have you here.
Thanks
Uh,
a lot for inviting me.
of course, thank you for showing up. Anything I'm missing in my introduction? Because you were
I
just telling me
just
about some crazy stuff.
you just nailed everything. So thanks a lot for this pretty cool introduction. Like I mentioned yesterday in the comment section, you are a killer with your introduction. So I just, if somebody will ever ask me about how to write a cool intro, I will tell. So just check Marketing Family podcast and read the introduction. So it will be pretty much how you can create a cool intro.
Well, the trick is just to only invite cool people, and then they write themselves. uh, so I want to talk about today about like I know you're very advanced, but I want to talk about some basics, just because not everybody in the group is like super advanced and stuff, and I like to always keep it to the fundamentals because I believe if you got the fundamentals right, it's easier to build on it. So the first thing I wrote down in my little notebook is, so what is a funnel actually? Like just like the really big picture, what would you say a funnel consists of?
Absolutely, that's a great question, and I'm also glad that we'll talk about some basics, some foundations, because actually all the problems are happening to the companies when they don't work on the foundations, and they are thinking, why I have a problem with lead generation, why just I can't generate sales ready leads, or what's happening to my deals closure ratio, etc., etc. So basically everything comes to your foundation. So back to your question, when it comes to funnel, so there are so many misbeliefs about funnels. Basically people think that funnel is just, let's say let me share with you the most common approach. The most common approach is AIDA model, so the most common AIDA, and how you might know this. So a funnel looks like attention, interest, desire, action. So we attract attention in somehow way. We just then with some proposal we should like provoke the interest, and with some good copy they should our leads should desire our product, and then the call to action we close them. So basically all the companies, all the startups, people who are not related to marketing, think about their lead generation in the same way. And here are some problems, especially I will talk mostly about B2B, so just to everybody who will listen to us, they will understand that the content I will share will be solely related to B2B industry. So what's happening in the B2B world? First of all, you should know that actually the funnel, it's not like you understand. You have marketing funnel, you have sales funnel, you have post-sales funnel, and you have referral funnel. So basically all these four funnels are a part of a well-known term called buyer's journey. So in B2B world, the most important thing is not your funnel, but not the most important, but what really matters on the early beginning is mapping your buyer's journey. So you should understand that on the B2B market, by the stats, actually, if you want, you can check HubSpot blog, an article called the 107 stats about sales, something like this. But if you type this in Google, you'll definitely find this article. So HubSpot says that on B2B markets, only 3% of leads are ready, and ready to sales, and are looking forward to some solution. So this actually, what does this mean? This means that on your market, most of your leads are on awareness stage or on a consideration stage, which means actually they aren't sales ready. Yep. So if you'll but what happens to lead generation in most cases? People think that I will just, let's say, I will use cold outreach, or I will just have some paid ads on Facebook or on LinkedIn with my staff. So like I am doing this and that, buy this from me. I'm just, of course, I'm kidding, but it's simplifying, but it looks like this. And they are wondering, why don't we have leads? Because people, what are the features of awareness stage? So people are just, people have some problem, and they try to figure out what are the solutions for this problem. So how we can solve this problem, and why this problem just occurred. That's why if you'll talk, for example, when it comes to lead generation, in many cases, why I'm just putting out so many content on like how to create ideal customer profile, etc. Because in many cases, people have just a question. I don't think about I need like get lead, or I need some agency, I need some consultancy. They think, how can I create ideal customer profile because I am targeting too broad market, and that is the characteristic of awareness stage. In the consideration stage, people know, for example, okay, I just did here's my problem, here are some solution, what solution is the best for me. So like in my example, it could be like I can hire an agency, I can hire a marketer, I can buy some I can buy some courses and implement everything by myself. I can read some book, I just can hire a coach, or like different types of solutions, and then they try to figure out what works for them better and according to their budget. And when you help them to like define what works really for them, and they enter a last decision making stage where you can, or just in many cases it's called bottom of the funnel activities. So you can target them with your, let's say, sales content, where you can drive them to your sales team, where you can drive them to schedule a meeting with you or call with you, and so on. So it's just the last part, and this is a part where sales funnel appears, what most people are talking about. Most common problem with this, that people actually most companies counts everybody as their lead. So if somebody has downloaded your white paper, for example, your lead magnet or anything else, many companies used to count them as a leads and create opportunities in their pipelines. And then, for example, if they have in examples, if it's just a medium-sized business, they have a sales team and they assign the task to the sales team. So you should reach out these leads and close the deals. Yeah, and that's why they are wondering why we have such low deals closure ratio, because leads aren't ready, and this is a big problem. So basically, like I tried just to show how it works in the real world. So basically, the sales funnel is just a process when your lead raise their hand and tell, guys, I'm ready. I just figured out that my solution, just your solution, is related to me and it's good to me. And now it's your turn just to convince me that you is a good fit for me. So basically, they want to be sure that you are a good fit. You can solve their problems. You can help them to achieve the desired results, and you have some social proof that you has done, like you have done some campaigns successfully for companies that are from that specific industry, and actually you are able to solve their challenges. So it looks like this. So it's just a basic definition of sales funnel.
Yeah. So okay, so I made a lot of notes when you were talking just now. But if if I understand correctly, what you're saying is sales funnel is not the most important part because the sales funnel is just from the last part of the buyer's journey when they're making their decisions to the sale and the communication and the pipeline that's going on there. That is the actual sales funnel. But people should be paying more attention to the buyer's journey beforehand when they're in the awareness phase and the consideration phase and decision phase. That is actually where a lot of the magic happens, and that's where a lot of people are missing out. Is that, am I correct, understanding you correctly?
I'm not just talking that it is not so important. It is as important as other funnels in your buyer's journey. So that's, but in most cases, companies devote more of their time to solely to their sales funnel, and they don't think about the top of the funnel activities, middle of the funnel activities. They don't think about how they can qualify leads, because in many cases, just as I came from corporate world, I saw in many cases what's happened to sales teams. So sales marketers just drive some leads to pipeline, assign task to sales team. Sales team spend lots of time to just have some discovery calls and realize, create some personalized proposals, and then realize that they were talking to leads that simply don't fit their ideal customer profile. They, in many cases, they have necessary budgets, or they aren't decision makers, and so on and so on. That's why I'm talking about that. It's just as important as other parts of buyer's journey. Another, I just want to nail this thing once more. Another bad stuff when you are just thinking only about sales funnel in that way, like we mentioned in the early beginning. The last stage of the sales funnel is closed deal, correct?
Yes.
So it would be success or unsuccess, won or lose, won or lost deal. And that's how it's happening. But in the real world, what's going on after the sales? First of all, we should think about retention. So we should track the customer satisfaction. Yep, as they achieved the results they really desired. If yes, so in this case, we can ask them for a testimonial, for introduction, for referral, for case study. If no, we should solve their problems. We should help them to achieve the desired goals. Instead, we'll just if no, in other case, we just have like dissatisfied customer. So then when if we have that successful case study, we can ask for an introduction, because dissatisfied customer will never give you a positive testimonial and will never refer you to their friends. But what's happening in the real world, I just also want to once more to refer to HubSpot. They are saying that 82% of salespeople never ask about referrals. So they are not asking about testimonials and not asking about introduction to some specific customers. So basically, everybody knows that referrals are great. The referrals are many companies actually say that generate leads from referrals, but still, so like a miserable quantity of these companies work on this deliberately, and that's why I'm talking once more about that sales funnel isn't the most important part. It is important, but it's as important as others. So
how would you recommend these 82% of people that never ask for referrals? How would you recommend them to start asking? What would be your most foundational approach to that?
I will share what we have done with my agency. It's just not Get Leader, like you mentioned. It's another agency called Pipeline, which works solely with Russian-speaking clients. So what we did actually, when the project was finished, for example, when like the deal reached a specific stage on our pipeline, via Zapier, we just sent a survey from my a survey from me, like from the founder of that company, where I asked them just to share, just to fill in this short survey, where I asked to score how customer was satisfied working with project manager, with content creator, with marketer who runs paid ads, etc., etc. Then I'm asking about preliminary results they are getting right now, because in many cases inbound projects they are long-term projects. But we are asking about preliminary results. I'm also asking, are they satisfied with everything, or do they want to speak with me about something? If they if something went not according to their expectations. So in these cases, if I receive, of course, it's some kind of, I also mentioned that this is anonymous service, so my team won't see the results, so the results are solely for me. And actually, I track the results, and if something goes wrong, I immediately give the feedback to my team, so you should immediately call that customer and solve the problem. In case if everything is okay and I see the positive feedback, I immediately create a task in a CRM to call that client and ask for a case study. So that's how it works in our case.
You know, last week I got this pop-up from Salesflare where like, oh, how likely are you to recommend Salesflare to a friend? So of course, Jeroen is my boy, so I write 10 out of 10. Then I get like this really nice email. Like I think there was even like a GIF in it and everything. It's like, oh, what's up, my homeboy? Could you write us a review here? And I'm like, of course, because I just said, okay, 10 out of 10, big fan, you know, and then you write a review. So that's also like a good way to, it's like a simplified version of what you're doing, right? Like they just ask you. Yeah. And I think was super interesting back in the days when I was still using Tinder and stuff. They would always ask me to review the app right when I got a new match. So it's like, you got, congratulations, you have a new match. Would you like to rate this app 5 stars? I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna rate this 5 stars because you're like on the, just got this little dopamine hit. So that was extremely helpful, and I'm sure the audience is loving it too. Oh, by the way, guys, if you're enjoying this live show, if you enjoy Andre's knowledge, please drop us some hearts. If you're angry with me for interrupting him, drop us some boos or angry emojis. If you're watching this on the replay, put some hashtag Team Replay in the comments. I'm sure that we're gonna get some of those. So I have another question based on what you were just talking about. I'm gonna scratch some off my list. What would you say, like if you had to ask one question to qualify a lead, what would that one question be? If you only had one. Yeah, one question to help you figure out this is a qualified lead or this is just like somebody who's probably not going to be a good fit for us.
You know, I assume it won't be an answer that you expect to hear, but it solely depends on the industry, because in some cases, for example, if you are actually, it's really, let me share how it works in the real world. So first of all, let me say about the biggest mistake. The biggest mistake is when marketer or just founder give a criteria. So guys, here just 5 criteria for you, and that's how it will work. No, actually the process looks like in a backward way. So first of all, you should create an ideal customer profile and then agree on that ideal customer profile with your sales team. So sales team should say, yep, this is like these are the folks with whom we want to talk. And when you just like align this with your sales team, you can choose 2 to 3 criteria which will give you a basic information whether this lead is marketing qualified. So in your case, it might be team size. In some cases, it might be location. In some cases, it might be job role. So it really depends. If you let's say if you are targeting a specific job role, so maybe in some cases, if you are just let's say if you are just targeting only or prospecting founders, and you generated, for example, marketer or head of growth I don't know, consultant. So in this case, you definitely will know that you generated non-qualified lead. So, but in most cases, 2 to 3 criteria will work better than 1 criteria.
Yeah, I think I shared your ICP article the other week. I thought it was very interesting.
Thanks
Actually,
for sharing.
and I got some people to fill it. I got some customers actually. I did it with some customers this week as well. So I'm curious to see how that's gonna. And because it also helps you when you're doing like cold outreach and stuff. Because like if you know who you're supposed to like get in your lists to reach out to, based on your ICP, it's much easier to reach out to the right people. So you're not like bothering. So you're not like bothering people that are not interested. So we got a question from Sylvie, and Sylvie says, well, wait, let me try to understand this question. So what there's something. What is the percentage of successful referrals? So I'm guessing she's asking like how good the referrals work. They're like
in the case I shared.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not 100% following the question. And then I'm also not really understanding the next question, to be honest. Oh, wait. No, I'm just not having the full select screen over.
So you can just specify a question and I will share how it works.
Okay, I'll just start with some of my own questions and then I'll get back to it. So
anyway, I will answer all the questions at the end of the conversation, so no problems here.
Yeah, for sure. So let's say you're a new company. Let's say for example, you learn some social media hacks or whatever, and you want to build a company around, let's say, Instagram automation, whatever. Yeah, you're like a small team, and you're like, okay, guys, we need to, like, of course, we have to do like some content marketing or whatever, so we can raise the awareness. But how do they get started with a funnel for the first time? How do they how do they start with creating that part of the buyer's journey so they can actually convert people that are interested into customers? What is like the minimum viable funnel they could start with?
Awesome question, and I'm really glad that you have asked it. So basically, you should start to think from the end of your customer journey. So what should happen so that customer will definitely recommend you to their friends, to their colleagues, or to somebody, to some account which you want to have business with. So you should think about the results. So what results will make them so satisfied that they will recommend you? That's the last stage. Okay, so and you can document your process, what you should do to achieve these results. Basically, if you let's stick to your example with Instagram automation. So basically, what should you do to achieve these results? So what besides this, there are some important things I also want to mention, that people, when they're selling, for example, Instagram automation, so it's not just some type of commodity business. What happens to many agencies, they're just selling, hey guys, we can run Instagram accounts and Instagram ads for you, and it costs $1,000 per month, and that's all. Or we can promise you that we generate you like 10,000 subscribers to your Instagram account, and this also costs $1,000 for you. It's definitely, to be honest, it definitely doesn't matter to your customers at all. What is matter for them is how this will impact their business, how this will impact their pipeline. So basically, if you're and most customers, even if they tell you that okay, we want just to increase quantity of our subscribers, and that's our goal, and if you'll generate 10,000 subscribers, we'll be satisfied. It's not what they are expecting. On subconscious, they are expecting that this quantity will help them to scale revenue. That's why during your qualification, it's just the top of it's just bottom of the funnel activities when sales team, or if you are small team, when you just have some sales calls, you should realize and speak about values. So, for example, if we'll increase quantity to 10,000 subscribers, how this will impact your revenue, and customer will think, okay, it now, for example, now I generate 10K per month and I will generate 15K per month. So we'll just will increase the revenue by 5,000. Yep. And in this case, okay, so I can take 10% from this revenue and sell my stuff for like let's say for not for 1,000 but 1,500. And if we'll just calculate the yearly revenue, it will be like something around 180,000. So in this case, you can ask for a yearly retainer and sell your stuff for 18,000 because you are selling value. You just in your proposal, you don't mention that I will grow your account to 10,000 subscribers, but I will help you to scale your revenue to 15,000 with Instagram automation. That's how it works. And in this case, you can sell at higher prices, at higher margin, and you'll make a really satisfied customer. So basically, it's another step. We are just going like back step to sales qualification. So you should speak about values. And in case if your customers don't know what value you can bring to them, you should figure this out and put down to your proposals. So before this, you should think about the sales of right now about the sales funnel. So in this case, like I mentioned, that a lead, for example, raised hand, and in some cases, it really depends on industry, but let's pretend in your case, you just have a webinar called like how to automate Instagram and just to scale your business, where you demonstrate your process. Yep, and if somebody signed up for this webinar, we pretend to count him as a sales-ready lead. And in this case, we can ask for some sales qualification questions. For example, have you ever tried Instagram automation? Yes or no? And just we can apply some logic to these answers. If yes, what were your results? And so on. We can ask, did you set up any budget for this activity? So in this case, we just can have like a brief expectation of what budget this client has. And a last sales qualification question, for example, how urgent is for this solution for you? So how urgently do you want to implement Instagram automation? Another case, so we can ask once more, if we didn't ask about job role, we can ask so about your job role, or we can ask a question. So are you a decision maker? Of course, I'm simplifying, but it's just an idea how it works. So we can ask, are you just a decision maker, or you need to talk to somebody to just to approve that you need Instagram automation? And as well, we can also ask about the question, one of the most important questions, what challenges do you want to solve with Instagram automation? So basically, we have an idea why they are signing up for this webinar, because everybody knows that not anybody will listen to that webinar to the end. Or if you have, instead of webinar, if you have some lead magnet white paper, for example, say in most cases they won't read this white paper, but your sales team, they have like an idea whether you now have before this we'll speak about marketing qualification, but anyway, they understand whether they have sales qualified lead or no. If they see it is a decision maker, they have a budget, they need an urgent solution, something like very basic called band formula for B2B marketing for sales qualification. Of course, they can call this lead and also you signed up for our webinar. I just was wondering, what's your opinion? Just provide me with a testimonial. They don't sell anything, so they ask for a testimonial and they suggest, are you interested if we'll talk a bit more how Instagram automation can help your business. Just I have some brief ideas. I saw your challenge. It's like something like this, and I have an idea how we can help with you. So it's just a sales qualification. Before sales qualification, we have a marketing funnel. So basically, marketing funnel works from attracting the attention. We spoke with you that we have awareness stage, consideration stage, and that's how it works. So we can we can drop some content. In our cases, we should really, that's why ideal customer profile is so important. So we should know what at different stages what our prospects are looking for. So in our case, they might looking for like how to scale business, and for example, for e-commerce or for consultancy, which are great for Instagram. Yep. So they can seek for this. They can seek for these solutions, and we can drop this content. So they will come. They will read. So basically, we should. I won't say about that. We should deliver value because everybody talks about this. So okay, value. Another step. So we should build some credibility and relations with that content. So we have should have another step. And if we'll drop a content which is related to awareness stage, we should have some lead magnet that they will download, and with this lead magnet we should apply marketing qualification. So basically we understand whether it's just qualified or non-qualified lead. So it looks like this in the brief description. So think from the end, and from the end of customer journey, and step by step go to the early beginning, how you will attract their attention.
Yes. Okay, so I wanna try to give a short recap, so just to see if I understood, and then also I hope it's going to be useful for the people watching. So we're starting out with this Instagram company. They want to do Instagram automation, and they're trying to figure out their basic funnel. So for the first thing they do is figure out what is the actual result they can create for people, because if they a result that is good enough to get referrals, basically, right? So they want to create a result that is so good that people will recommend it. So as soon as they figure out how to do that, they can demonstrate this result in a case study or a webinar where they can throw out there in the world, and everybody who signs up, they can qualify them. So they ask them a couple of questions to see if they're decision makers, they have budget, if they need help right now or they don't. And then the people that are qualified, those people can be reached out to because you already know, like, they're interested, it's urgent, and they have the power to make a decision. That's kind of like how we started out, right? So that's the actual.
Yeah. So it's just a very simplified model. Yeah, just for understanding how it works.
Yeah, and then before what has to happen in the marketing funnel is the awareness phase and the interest phase. So that's where we're dropping the lead magnets to explain. Okay, so this is what. This could also be like a case study or whatever, but there we're just trying to tell people, okay, so this is actually a service that exists. This is something that's useful or whatever. And then after that comes the sales funnel part that we just discussed.
Yep, something like this.
Yeah, something like this. Awesome. So in the case, so you said something very interesting. You said you need to figure out what the impact of your product is going to be on their business. So if you stick to our Instagram automation example, how would they figure out what the monetary value is going to be for their customers? How are they going to know that if somebody buys their Instagram automation, how are they going to know that they are going to be able to help them scale from 30K to 50K revenue, let's say? How should they figure out?
Brilliant question. And basically, it's what's in most cases, this never happens on sales meeting when you meet the sales team. And unfortunately, in many cases, it happens to young guys who are just starting their sales rep career. They are talking solely about their solution. Hey, here's a demo. Here's how. Here, just take a look how great our product is. So here are some features, here are some benefits, and so on, so on, and so on. So here's a price, or here's three price packages. So choose what works for you better, and let's do a business. That's how many sales calls are looking. Actually, what you should start with, you should start to fill in some survey, and you should promise I should say, you should take care beforehand about non-disclosure agreements. So all the information will be confidential, and you should also think about the arguments, how you can argue your prospect or lead why they should fill in this survey. So in my case, I just share our experience. So what we do, we just tell our leads that we want this information to be prepared and to come with some ideas to meet and not to talk about 1 hour just collecting some ideas. So it will be a great idea to start with. And anyway, we have also just like you mentioned, in service business, I recommend also to have a preliminary stage between selling your core product. So in my case, we are selling a product called marketing audit. Why we are selling this? Because with the help of audit, we just figure out all the lags, or let's say all the bottlenecks in the company's marketing. Because in some case, okay, somebody tells you, okay, I just want to generate 10,000 subscribers on Instagram or 10,000 fans, and you, oh, no problem, I will do this for you. And then you realize they are targeting very broad market. They don't have any idea about who is the ideal customer profile. Secondly, you figure out they have no unique selling proposition. So for example, they are telling, so I am just like LinkedIn coach, and that's all. And we have, in the world, we have thousands of LinkedIn coach. So we don't answer the question, why should somebody hire that? Etc., etc. So also you analyze sales funnel. You see, like I mentioned, you analyze customer journey. You see Alex there, and you mentioned we have a problems here. For example, we see that we generate lots of marketing qualified leads, but the quantity of sales qualified leads is very low. So what's going on? We say, guys, you don't have a lead nurturing program, and it's also should be working for you. And in this case, we can just give an ideas and insights, and even if we don't, if like we are not competent to sell lead nurturing or something else, at least we can help our customer to understand their bottlenecks and problems. And we say, okay, we will do this and that for you. But in many cases, marketers who runs in Instagram automation or Instagram marketing, they know how to create ideal customer profile. Or at least they must know how to do this. They must know how to create unique selling proposition, and they can simply increase the value. So they will tell, okay, so we can include this and that stuff to your account, but actually we want to know whether it's just worth our efforts or no. How we can know this? You should provide us some figures. So we promise this is confidential. Here is our non-disclosure agreement. So you can be sure just the information will stay with us, and we will know how all this action will impact your revenue, because you don't care. I want to underline, you should say this, you really don't care about the 10,000 Instagram fans, and we don't care. We all care about how every of our action will impact your revenue, and that's how it works.
So this reminds me of something we done for a client recently, where they create custom software for automation for businesses, and so we told them, like, look, we gotta make some sort of tests so these people that are gonna buy from you know exactly how many man hours they can save with custom software, or they know exactly how much money they're gonna be saving, because otherwise, like, if let's say we're selling them software for $50,000 to $100,000, but they don't know how much money this is gonna save them or make them, it's gonna be a hard sell. So we created like a little side project for Architect, super basic. It's just like a calculator where they're like, okay, how many people are in your company? What you pay them per hour? How much time per day do they spend on Monday tasks? And then you're just like, okay, so we can save you $80,000, and the product's gonna cost you $50,000. So then you're still making a net profit, and you're still saving 30,000, right? That's
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's something very similar to, I think, what you're talking about now. Now, um, so this, so let's say people are, no, never mind. Let's go. Let's get to some questions from other people.
Okay.
Okay. What's up, Slack?
So feel free to ask any questions. It will be my pleasure to answer all of them.
Oh, for sure. You're giving some really good information so far. Guys, give some love for Andre. Give us some hearts. Uh, give some bonus emojis because I'm like taking too long to find more questions. The hashtag team replay if you're watching this afterwards. Okay, Matei wrote concerning lead organizing. Most companies organize their inbound leads mainly with the help of either some kind of marketing auto software, a CRM, or Google Cloud products, that's the Docs, Sheets, or whatever.
Check my website, get lead on my own blog. You can also check the ebook, and I guess that this ebook was published on Marketing Family Community. Before, it was a B2B growth guide, which was published by me, Ricardo, and other guys who are also members of this awesome community. I mean, Marketing Family. So this ebook is really great, and I completely recommend it. There are 7 guides on B2B marketing. Actually, all other blogs, it depends on really. I always say that you should choose the learning sources depending on your current challenge. So basically, if you want to learn something specific, you should look for that specific blog, because if you want just to have some general knowledge, okay, you can check HubSpot blog, you can check Marketo blog, you can check Engageo blog, you can check heinzmarketing.com, etc., etc. So lots of blogs, lots of books also on the topic. As for podcasts, B2B Growth Show by James Carberry is great. Sales Pipeline Radio by Matt Heinz is great. So, and also in July, my podcast will go live called System B2B Marketing Show, and we'll have an episode with Stapho next week. So stay tuned. It also will be great. We'll speak about LinkedIn inbound lead generation. So basically, that's my answer. But if you'll specify what kind of challenge you want to solve, or what kind of skill you want to improve, I will recommend you a robust source for learning.
Hi guys, I'm back. Can you hear me now, Andre?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry
Glad
about that.
to see you
I don't know
once
what's
more.
happened there. I'm very sorry. Thank you for keeping it down when I was out there without internet. Let's ask. I'm gonna ask you another question. That I've been bothering Ricardo with for like a few days, but we reached the conclusion yet. So I'd love to hear your take on it. So everybody's like familiar with hacking growth and like the whole growth hacking seed and pirate metrics and all that kind of stuff. But what Ricardo is that actually most of that is really heavily focused on SaaS and startups and those kind of scenes. And then what I was talking about with Ricardo is how do you actually start implementing rapid experimentation general if you're running another kind of business? Let's say people like us who run a marketing agency. How do you approach that kind of setting?
Just had a bad connection, so didn't hear all your question. But let me just, from what I have heard, let me just try to figure out what I'm asking about. So basically, if I'm a marketing agency and I'm doing like some kind of marketing stuff for a customer from the industry I'm not familiar with, what should I do with experiments? How I will run an experiment? Am I correct?
Uh, no. Well, that would also be a great question. But for us, or for ourselves, for our own marketing, or let's say if we're helping a client that is not a SaaS, a coach or an author or some kind of, how can we implement some of the growth hacking philosophy, such as in their in those kind of businesses?
Actually, really, I'm very sorry. So, really, just here only one word from three. So, let me once more recap your question. So, basically, how you can implement growth hacking in your business in marketing agency?
Yes. How do we run experimentation in things that are not SaaS?
I see. Yeah. So this is really an awesome question because, from my point of view, growth hacking is a bit hyped topic nowadays. It was like, I'm just in marketing for 13 years already, and what I have seen. What's happened like 5 years ago? Everybody was an internet marketer, so doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter what it means, but everybody was internet marketer. These guys could do search engine optimization. They could run pay-per-click campaigns. They could run Facebook ads. They could create a content. They could run some email marketing, and all of them were internet marketers. And a new term for this appeared. It was like they called themselves digital marketers. So internet marketers, it was a bit outdated. So everybody became to call themselves digital marketers. Lots of digital marketing agency appeared, and they did all the stuff starting from landing pages to search engine optimization, etc., etc., etc. And then a new trend appeared called growth hacking. So many people who have no clue what growth hacking is, they became growth marketers, head of growth, VP of growth, or just started a growth hacking agencies. And in most cases, and just as you mentioned, I also run with Ricardo a B2B marketers and founders community. And when people answering questions when they want to, send a request to join the group, so we see people, we see among the answers a most common thing like we want to learn growth hacking, some growth hacks. And when we ask people what do you mean by growth hacks, in many cases it looks like we want to know how to scrape emails and how to run some cold outreach and create some automation. So we will fill our pipeline with high quality leads on automation, and in this time we won't do anything. So it just in the real world it's a myth. So it it may be in some books and some info marketing courses, but it's not how the real world works. So basically, growth hacking, first of all, it's about mindset. So you should think about, like I mentioned in a customer journey, you should think about what are your goals. And like when I started marketing, so I worked for corporates, for some like big companies like Kimberly-Clark Corporation, one of the biggest world corporations. So we had a 1 year plans. So you should plan for 1 year, 12 months goals, etc., etc., etc. So in the real world changes too fast. So basically, first thing about growth hacking is growth sprints and experiments. That's why. First of all, you should have like a basics what we have started our conversation from. So you should have ideal customer profile. You should have customer journey. You should think about all the funnels during the customer journey, etc., etc., etc. Then you start when you are applying growth hacking. So you have some data. and you have some data about your marketing funnel, so how many leads or prospects, let's say how many prospects, visitors equals prospects, how many prospects do you generate to your website, what kind of sources, etc., etc., etc. What are your conversion rate to marketing qualified leads? Okay, you have this data. How many marketing qualified leads become sales qualified leads? You have this data. Okay, if you set up lead nurturing, how this lead nurturing program works. Then you think about what's happening with your deals closure ratio. So how many sales qualified leads become actually customers? How many customers give you testimonials? How many customers provide you with referrals, etc., etc., etc. So then you just start to think what kind of stuff I can improve to achieve my goal. For example, you know that term in growth hacking world called North Star metric. In many cases, in SaaS business, in many cases, it's just the quantity of users. Let's relate it to B2B world or to marketing agency. You might think about revenue. Yep. So in case of revenue, you might think what you can optimize. So should you optimize your marketing funnel? Should you optimize conversion? Should you create additional lead magnet, etc., etc., etc. Then you can apply that pie method, so you can just evaluate the importance of this experience, the impact of this experiment, the difficultness of this experiment, etc., etc. So also you can see about important metrics which rarely somebody speaks about. So it called this metric calls pipeline velocity. So pipeline velocity is actually how many money you have in your sales pipeline. So pipeline velocity formula is quantity of opportunities, average deal size, conversion ratio, I mean deals closure ratio, so how many successful deals you are closing from your opportunities, and the length of your sales cycle. So all this, you multiply all the first three KPIs and divide them by the length of your sales cycle. So with this way, you can understand how much money do you have in your pipeline per every day. So how much money you have every day in your sales pipeline. And now you can play with all four KPIs, because you can play with, like, for example, your sales cycle is around 90 days. Yep. And you might think, what happens, how it will impact my revenue if I will shorten my sales cycle to 60 days, for example. You just put down this into formula and you'll see, so, okay, that's how it impacts my pipeline velocity, and I will have such kind of revenue. Okay, what will happen if I improve my deals closure ratio? What will happen if I increase the quantity of opportunities? What will happen if I will work on average deal size, like I mentioned? So if you you can apply my value-based selling, like we spoke today during this conversation. So you can increase the average deal size, and by this way, you can then just you can just create different experiments based on this, and then evaluate how they can impact your pipeline or revenue.
Awesome. That's good. This is going to be a great put on LinkedIn afterwards. That was really great. That was awesome. Thank you so much, Andre. Andre, I'm looking forward so much to getting on the conference. We got some really crazy people showing up, which is very intimidating. So, which talk are you looking forward to, first of all, comes to mind for the B2B conference?
Sorry, can you please once more repeat, because really have a very bad connection. I guess you hear me well, but unfortunately I don't hear you well.
The B2B conference. Which talk are you most excited about right now? Or which one is, what are you excited about the conference?
Actually, it would be a really awesome conference. So I took care about all speakers, and all guys are real professionals. So all the I also just was involved in topic suggestions. So It's, as I mentioned, I'm in B2B marketing already for 13 years, so I know a bit what B2B audience really want to hear. And in this case, I just also thought about not making it like some kind of networking conference, because of course people will meet each other, will meet like-minded people, but I also thought about how to create a valuable presentations, a valuable content for the listeners, so they can just not only listen to some inspirational stuff, but also some practical ones can implement after the conference. So all the topics are really great. Your LinkedIn inbound lead generation, Ricardo's growth strategy, Guillaume's outreach and warming up leads. So all just to be honest, all the topics will be really cool. So my honest recommendation to visit this conference. So the content there will be really awesome.
Yeah, I'm actually super excited about it. Like, I'm thinking every day I'm gonna put in my talk because I want to like really show some good stuff. I know the connection is bad, so let's close. Uh, let's do another live where we talk a little bit, and I'll be very excited to do that. Thank you so much for being here today. Just gonna type you. You can't hear me, right?
Yeah, just time to time. But anyway, I have had, it was also a pleasure for me to talk with you today. I don't know whether we have answered all the questions, but anyway, if I didn't answer anything, I will just, after this call, I will open your group and will answer under all the questions.
Very nice. Bye.
Thanks a lot for having me. Bye.
Yes, thanks so much.